Many thanks for making a date with me on the marketplace. Now, President Kufuor has invited Russian businesses to tap into the several opportunities in Ghana and invest. The president was addressing a section of business community at the sidelines of the maiden edition of the Russian-African Summit organized by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin has welcomed thousands of African leaders in Sochi, Russia, to discuss issues of politics and business worth billions of dollars. Unlike China, Russia has promised to refrain from political or other influence. The two-day event will see more than 3,000 delegates from across Russia and Africa to discuss an array of topics from nuclear energy to mineral extraction. All 54 African heads of state sent a representative to the meeting, including 43 heads of state or government. Russian president said his country is preparing and carrying out investment projects with Russian participation worth billions of dollars. In 2018, Russia-Africa trade amounted to $20 billion, 10 times less than that of China. At the sidelines of the summit, President Kufuor met with a Russian business delegation to discuss opportunities of investments. He said Ghana's economy is well positioned now for foreign direct investment attraction.
So you have to know that there's a good atmosphere in Ghana for engaging with Russian companies. We want to see you there, and whatever it is that we need to do on our side to encourage you to look at Ghana seriously, we are prepared to do it. We inherited a 3.6% rate of growth, 9.3, 9.4% fiscal deficit, currency that was always very weak, poor balance of payments, a whole lot. I mean, an economy in trouble, even though it was under an IMF program. We've worked these last 2 years to restore discipline in the management of our public finances, to bring the deficit down to under 5%, 4.4%, 4.5%. That's projected forward. The balance of payments is in a much better position than it was before. We've been talking consistently since we came of 7% plus rates of growth. And generally, the repositioning of the Ghanaian economy is taking place at a very rapid rate. And therefore, the opportunity for investing in the economy of Ghana is growing stronger and stronger. We're 30 million people with a GDP of some 50 billion odd United States dollars, but with significant resources, bauxite, iron ore, and manganese, and lithium, diamonds, both industrial and raw. So there's significant resources, and we have considerable offshore hydrocarbon resources as well, crude as well as gas in very significant quantities.
And back home in Ghana, board chairman of the Ghana Statistical Service has reiterated the need for businesses to effectively source and utilize data if customer expansion is important to them. Chairperson Dr. Grace Bediakon says it is therefore imperative for businesses to collaborate with and contract statistical agencies to achieve this objective. She says this will enable the company develop specific customer-focused services and products for the desired satisfaction. Dr. Bediakon spoke with Love Business at the ongoing Africa Geospatial Data and Internet Conference in Accra. Prince Apia reports.
The African Geospatial Data and Internet Conference is ongoing in Accra, and a wide range of issues have been discussed, right from climate change, environment, to agriculture, and issues with regards to data protection in businesses and industries. As part of the many discussions, the Ghana Statistical Services, for instance, has called on businesses in the country and across Africa to collaborate effectively with statistical companies in order to provide with them information that will be critical to enhance the growth and progress of businesses.
See, businesses need data. Not all the data are generated routinely by the statistical institutions, either at the district level or regional level or, let's say, national level. But we need the data. So the businesses should work hand in hand with statistical entities, define what they need, and get some data produced. They should also support some of these data generation initiatives so that their decisions can be better informed.
Dr. Grace Bidiako believes it is very critical for the sustainable growth of businesses, especially startups.
How do we galvanize, make these data, package them in a way that can complement the official data sources? Statistical Service is looking into that and working with Vodafone and to a Hewlett Foundation to be able to at least begin to understand what is doable. And these experimental initiatives need to be undertaken so that we know how to chart this terrain.
Meanwhile, President of the Association of Freelance Journalists and a data advocate, Winnie Kamau, wants statisticians to present their data in a more user-friendly manner.
It's more of statisticians presenting their data without having the users looking at that data and looking at how they're going to use that data. So it's always good to have data in a format that is really following the FAIR principles of open data, that is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. The data that is readily accessible and in machine-readable formats.
The conference is being organized in close collaboration with the African Open Data and Internet Research Foundation, together with other private and government institutions.
The event at the end of the day is looking at putting out a number of strategies that would help with the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Prince Apia, reporting.
This is live on the marketplace. Now, after trading for over 29 years on the Ghana Stock Exchange, Pset Cousins is asking shareholders to approve a plan to delist from the Ghanaian Bears by the end of this year. The decision, which is unclear, is expected to be discussed at this annual general meeting scheduled for next month. The move to the delist was in Pset Cousins' financial report for the year ended May 2019 and published by the Ghana Stock Exchange last Monday. Now, we'll be getting some more implications on this development from the head of research at DataBank. But before then, we want to know more about the trajectory of growth and the performance of the local bears from the beginning of the year till now. And Joy Businesses researcher Philip Namfuri joins me with that explanation. Philip, welcome to the marketplace.
Thank you.
Now, tell us, what has been the trajectory of growth like for the stock markets?
Okay, so stock markets are barometers of growth. They measure economic growth in their own way. Okay. So we have a multiplicity of companies on the stock exchange, from financial to telecommunications to pharmaceuticals, and all these measure respective industries, how they are performing. Okay. So over the course, let me start from 2016. During that year, the stock market's performance was quite poor because of the turbulent economic winds that were blowing in the country at that time, the high inflation rates and the exchange rates and everything. Then in 2017, there was some stability, and it started dipping again due to the banking sector cleanup. You know, people have locked up funds with some of these institutions, and on our stock markets, the heavy investors are what we call the institutional investors. They carry the weight, the pension funds, the foreign investors, etc. Okay. Now, it's my opinion that if you look at what's happening right now, the banking sector challenges, locked up some funds in other places. Okay. So people have gone to disinvest from the stock market and are putting their funds into other places and into other instruments such as the treasury bills and the bonds. So you realize that the stock market is where we pump money in through these companies when they do the IPOs or when we want to buy shares in them. All this puts together raises up the market, and now all of a sudden we have funds coming out of the market. Companies may be doing well on their overall, the general macroeconomic environment may be stable, but the banking sector challenges hit a lot, and people are adopting a wait and see attitude to see how things will run after this complete.
But one would say that this cleanup exercise is now over. I mean, it's been over for a while now.
Yes.
Why is the market not picking up?
It is over, but you should understand that people are wary. The financial sector largely is built on confidence and trust and faith, and it has been eroded quite a bit. So people are adopting, like I said, a wait-and-see attitude with a mix of other effects on the market. And also, we know we're coming into an election year in 2020, and so investors will be wary about it, and they will see how things will pan out. But I'm sure the market should pick up in the months to come.
All right. So Pset Cousins is delisting. I mean, we'll be getting some more insight from the stock marketplace themselves. But what is your initial, reaction to this? Okay.
When it comes to listing, there are advantages. You obviously raise funds, and you're out there. Everybody knows you. Remember the MTN IPO? MTN was buzzing all around the place.
Yeah.
Now, the disadvantages I see with stock market listings is the regulatory compliance. Some companies, there are a lot of disclosures involved, and you have to stick to regulated rules. Exactly. And maybe some companies may feel that with some of these things, they can't really toe the line. Also, if some of them feel like there's a lackluster performance on the market, they want to exit. Because you look at some of them, their share prices, relatively flat, no demand for them. What's the point in being there? So some of these things weigh into the sentiments of people delisting or listing on the market. All
right, Philip, thank you so much for your thoughts. But we could now go on to the head of research of Data Bank, Alex Boyhen, to tell us more about the implications of this particular development where Pset is leaving the market. Now, this is not the first time. In about 2 years, we've had several companies delisted or left trading on the stock market. Could it not be an indication that Ghana's stock market is becoming less and less attractive by the day?
Hello?
Yes, Alex.
Yes, I think I missed your question a bit. Can you repeat for me?
All right. So my question is that for the past 2 years, we've witnessed some companies leaving the stock market, leaving trading on the stock market. Others have been suspended. For these equities and investors?
No. I don't think so. I mean, equity investment is done for a long haul, and if you look at the history of the companies that have been compulsorily delisted, like what we saw in January, Pioneer Kitchen were actually being delisted from the market because they actually failed to comply with the continuing listing obligations. The stock market has rules, for companies that are listed on the market. For instance, every quarter you are required to file your results or publish your quarterly results to the market. And if you fail to do that, then they can take such action against you. But in this case, Pset is not being forced to delist. I mean, the company is doing so voluntarily because maybe for their own strategy. But it is also important to highlight that if you look at Pset's financial results, I think for the past 5 years or so, the core consumer business hasn't performed very well. We know that the company has been undergoing some restructuring. I mean, that started, I think, 2013 or so, where they hyped up their manufacturing facilities and now rely a lot on importation from Nigeria. So they have had this issue, and that was done in anticipation that this will boost the company profitability. But unfortunately, that is not what we are seeing now on the market.
But Alex,
now as you move, as you move from manufacturing to importing, then you are also exposing the company to the volatility of the Ghana cedi. So that has actually affected their performance. I mean, the core consumer business over the past 5 years. And the management of the company thinks that, well, at this time, they have to just get the company off the market and then re-strategize and then see what happens.
Now, Alex, so I just wanted to find out, is delisting the last option for companies which are not doing well on the bears? Is that the only option for them?
No. But I think once you're on the market, your growth story must be clear to the market. I mean, even if you are a company may not be profitable at this moment, but their investors can actually buy into their growth story if they believe that they are credible. So it isn't, and we have seen a number of these listings. If we can recall, in 2010 or so, we saw Accra Breweries actually going off the market when Sab Miller actually took over the company. So this is something that is done, and in the past, maybe CFAO, we saw that also from British Tobacco and all that. So this is not new thing on the market.
So lastly, before you go, there are efforts by managers of the bears to increase the presence on the market. Now, is this not, sending wrong signals to prospective investors?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, that is true, because I mean we are in a period where we are trying to encourage more companies to list on the stock market. So seeing Pset, which is a strong or a very popular or a brand in our market with some significant history in Ghana, I think is not a good signal, because looking at, but to be frank with you on that also, the company is tightly held by the parent company. In fact, Ghanaians have only 10%, just about 10% of the shares that are listed on the market. And the last time I checked, their capitalization is just about 62 million Ghana cedis or so. So it's not really a big company that can really affect the markets. It's a very tiny company, and I don't see that affecting market liquidity significantly.
All right, many thanks for that education. Head of Research at Data Bank, Alex Boahene, bringing us up to speed with developments of Pset Cousins' exit from the local bears. Now, it's been a busy day for the Debt Management and Compliance Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, as the team paid unannounced visits to some defaulting companies in Accra. Beverage firm Gihok Distillery was nearly shut down as it owes in excess of 182 million Ghana cedis in returns without remittances. The company, however, issued a post-dated check in part payment to the debt. Charles Aite is on the grounds now, joins us live with some more updates. Charles, what can you tell us?
All right, so as you rightly stated, Gihok Distillery escaped a possible shutdown by the tax enforcement unit of the GRA. I'm currently here. Of course, they did pay 1.1 million, so it is just under 1%, hoping to have discussions with management of the GRA tomorrow to determine the terms of payment. Should they fail in doing so, the GRA would have no option than to shut down the place. But I'm currently here somewhere around Jowolo, and this is a company called Pollution to Water. Apparently, they have failed in meeting their tax obligations. And what this means is that based on interactions with management, the entire place is going to be sealed off, totally shut down. If the cameraman could pan a little closer, you could see the yellow bandages being attached to the seal of the entire place, indicating the shutdown, the complete shutdown of the entire building. This is the instance of several defaulting companies across the country who failed to pay their taxes to the GRA. From here, we're going to be moving out to several other companies, hospitality sector, and even government institutions. Ahead of that, we did interact with the head of the unit, Nathaniel Tete, who also to understand that they have been given the legal powers to even clamp down on state institutions that fail to meet their revenue obligations. A clear example was that of Gihok Distillery, where we had a possible shutdown in that regard. Emmanuel.
That's very interesting. But what is the reaction of management? I don't know whether you've been able to speak with any of the management of this particular company that you are.
The reaction is that of shock and that of disbelief, because it is an unannounced visit. So you could just imagine you're sitting in your office and officials from GRA just walk up to you, just having to have a distress action demanding for you to pay the amount owed them. So it's that of an unexpected reaction from both management. They failed to speak to us, not just with the pollution towards our company, but that's of Gihog and that's of Placebo as well. But what we're getting from them is the fact that they're going to be moving forward to have closer ties with the GRA, having a meeting with them to forestall the best way out to pay out the debt in the coming days.
Hope to get some more updates from you when you get back to the office. Let's turn our attention to other developing stories. Now, about 80% of shops are said to have been closed in one of Accra's largest shopping malls over high rent charges from management of the Accra shopping mall. Joy Business's Fred who visited the mall this morning, says a square meter area is going for about 28,000 Ghana cedis in a month. Let's have more.
At the Accra Mall, about 80% of the shops have been closed down. Some of the workers are stranded and they are sitting down. The shop owners today, we understand, are closing their shops. It's happening right now. You can see is some renovation works is currently taking place. Based on these renovation works, actually, the shops are finding it difficult for customers to enter into their shops to make purchases. And one very intriguing issue is the fact that some shop owners or those who rent shop in this particular facility says they pay close to 20,000 to 30,000 Ghana cedis monthly, and when they default by a day, their lights usually goes off. That is what they are alleging, and according to them, management really want to increase the cost of rent here again, and they are really against this any form of increment from management. A number of shops have been closed down, and this is the Samsung shop. This shop is also closed down. The Telefonica shop is also closed down. The workers are right here. They can't really enter and do business today. I want to have a word with some of them and know why today really they are not operating. And gentlemen,
Please, I don't have any.
No, but it looks like you are a bit stranded here. Your workers, you didn't hear anything from your bosses today?
No.
But why are you seated outside? I want to buy a phone.
Yeah, the shop is closed. That's all I know. It will be opened at 12 actually.
But usually when I come here in the morning, I do get to buy phone or do window shopping. Why is it that today you are opening at 12?
I don't know much. When he comes, I'll get to know whatever is happening.
No, but your bosses certainly should have communicated to you for you not to even sit here and be a bit stranded.
For that, we are cool with that. I don't have any issue sitting here.
Tell us your frustration.
We just came in to see if we can have our phone serviced. And then when we got here, we found out the store was closed.
So how do you feel about that?
Very, very bad, you know.
You received no notification? You didn't hear it from the news?
Nothing, no, I didn't. So I traveled all the way from Trasaco to here to find out they are closed. So I don't know what to do. Well, I think if that's the case, it's something they should actually sit down with the landlord and negotiate to see if they can come down to make the operations much better than, you know, just to frustrate them in terms of their businesses.
So will you head towards a different shop instead of the Accra Mall?
I guess I should, because this is the only place I can have it serviced, and if they are not here, then I have to look for somewhere else.
What I came through was to find out the cost of some things, and that's in ShopRite side, not actually from shops that are closed, which majority of them are closed.
A number of frustrated customers came in. They want to transact business, but they had no option than to leave. With me, Fred Duho, for Joy Business.
Well, on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. You have to join me again, same time tomorrow for another edition. Have a good afternoon.